Hello stitchy friends, and welcome back to Mother Buck's Cross Stitch. My name is Terry, aka Mother Buck, and today is March 28th, and we will be doing some catch up. It's been about 3 weeks since I posted, so we will see where I'm at right now, and we'll get all caught up and talk about some of the future plans too. I'll start out with my temperature chart. It's called A Year in Color, and I'm doing it on 14 count white Aida. It is coming along. I am doing about a week at a time, waiting a week and doing it like every Friday or Saturday. And I like it because it goes really fast. I'm up to March 21st here. I have the outlines already done through the month of March. I just need to put March right there. And then I will start working on the next section, which I'm not sure if it's this way or this way. I have to look at the chart with April. So the next time I see you, I will have a start on April. And hopefully we'll get some more colors. As I said before, my temperatures stay relatively close together. So because the colors on this chart were sort of an ombre, a very slow change of colors, it was looking like I had the same color all the way through. So I started doing high one day, low the next day. And I'm liking the way it turns out. It does give it some more interest. I'd still like to see some more colors besides the green, olive, and orange, but we'll see how the year goes. I've been thinking also, and I got inspiration from a poster on Instagram, and I'm sorry I've forgotten her name, but she was doing a temperature chart for the year that her daughter was born. And I thought, what a great idea. So I'm on the lookout now for a really cool looking temperature chart that I might want to do for the year my son was born, which was 1979. So I'm going to be looking through some temperature charts, and if I find a really cool one, I might work on that as an extra whip as well. And since it's not current, I can do it in larger or smaller steps. But I'm on the lookout now for a really cool looking temperature chart. So if you see one or you know of one that you really like, please share it with me. I'd love to look at it. I've been going through Etsy and some of the other sources that I have, some of my own charts that I have stashed away that I haven't done. But I welcome your input as to what you think is a really cool looking chart, because I think it'd be a neat one to do and actually keep, maybe even have as a fully finished object. This one I doubt will ever be fully finished. I don't see myself framing this one or making it into a banner or anything. It was more just a situation where I had never done one before and I wanted to try one. So this was more just a fun project. It wasn't necessarily something that I could see myself fully finishing ever, but I am enjoying working on it. It's a nice little pause between larger projects, and it's built my interest to do something else in the same vein. Next, I'll give you an update on my Heaven and Earth Designs 2025 SAL. The SAL should be coming out with the second portion this next week at the end of March, if they don't actually put it out early over the weekend. But it's due for April 1st. There were just over 30,000 stitches in the first part for me. I knew I was not going to get to that part, but I was hoping that I would get past the halfway mark. And I have gotten past the halfway mark. I actually have 20,000, just over 20,000 of the 30,000 stitches in. I'm doing this on 16 count, and I'm doing 2 strands 10th stitch. And the reason I started with the 10th stitch was that I thought it would make it go a little faster for me, since I'm not a really fast stitcher. I do like the way it's looking. I wasn't sure I was going to like the 10th stitch to begin with, because it has sort of a not as intense look to it, but it is coming along. At this point, I'm just kind of starting on this side and finding places where there is a scattered confetti stitch and finishing out that confetti, that particular color, all the way through, just so that I can start here and start getting completion as I go across. I have another part of the page over here that I have not started. When I start the next installment, I believe I may leave that and go ahead and start down here with this page here, just so it doesn't feel, so it feels like I'm moving forward instead of moving backwards, and I'll catch up with this later. I am pleased that I got at least 2/3 of it done and that I can see some progress on it. I love the fact that when I'm seeing the ones that you guys have finished, it's just amazing to me that you've had that kind of perseverance and that kind of speed in stitching. I wish I had that, but I am enjoying it. That's the main thing. That's the reason I was doing it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the next installment. Next, I have some progress on my birthday project, my birthday start. It was from Tidy Patterns, and the title on it was Geo 22. I love how this is looking. And when I first started out in this section here, I mean, I enjoyed the colors and everything. The colors are the things that drew me to it to begin with anyway. But now, as some of the colors are actually touching, I'm starting to get solid areas where colors are touching each other. And that is amazing to me. I absolutely love that. There's something about the textures of the stitch on there with those squares that's just really, really satisfying to look at. And as an example, like up here and down here and over here, where you have the blocks now of maybe 5 different colors, the way those all blend together and the way the textures look together, that's just really pleasing to me. And I have probably, I think I'm at about 15%, maybe 18% on this one. It's one of those that I just pick up when I want to do something relaxing, because this is very relaxing. It's little squares of 9 stitches, and I'll take one color and finish that one color, and then I put it aside, or if the mood strikes, I go ahead and pick up another color. But I can take one color and be completely done, because it does fade out into different colors all the way over. So the ones that you see here, that is the end of those particular colors. And I think it's going to be really well. I have a spot up here where it's kind of funky looking, but this is because this is one that I frogged. In fact, it was the Ada that I had that was gotten the ink on it, and I cut it down to make a piece that worked perfectly for this. It had one little spot here that I had to frog out, but that was okay because it was out of the range of my stitching. And if I actually frame it, I think the frame will cover that. But I'm enjoying this. It's a small enough one that I know I won't be working on it all year long, and I think it was a good choice for my birthday chart. Next, we have our WIPGO board. And last month was number 9 and number 24. Number 9 for me was Dealer's Choice, and I worked on my birthday chart. So I got that one completed. And number 24 was another block for me that was backstitch. And the one thing that I had the most backstitch left on, and that was all I had left, was my mason jar lineup. And that is from Dimensions. And it's on 14 count. And actually, with the WIPGO board this month, I was able to absolutely complete it. Now I have to wash it. It's got a spot up here that I've got to see if I can get out. I have no idea what it is, but it was a fantastic one to work on. I have had this one at least 6 years, stowed away in my stash, take it out every once in a while, work on it for a day and put it back. So I'm thrilled to death to have it completed. I may try and actually make this a fully finished one if I can get that spot out. If you have some really good ideas for getting spots out, let me know. I usually use an oxy product to try and get it out. If that doesn't get it out, then I don't know what I'll be doing. So any suggestions you have, I will appreciate. I enjoyed everything about this, and it has a ton of backstitch, and the backstitch actually makes it come alive. The only thing I didn't like was it has a ton of fringe knots, especially towards the end of the chart. There are fringe knots here, there are fringe knots all along here. All of these flowers here have fringe knots. These have fringe knots. These have fringe knots. And on this side, there was only a couple of spots with fringe knots. So I didn't feel the pain of that until I got towards the end of this project. And that was one of the reasons some days I just put it aside. I got so tired of fringe knots, and I'm not a fan. I think in the future, I might look at doing small beads for the fringe knots instead. I've seen that from several people sharing their work where they actually put beads instead of fringe knots, and depending on what kind of project it was, it looked really good. And so I might do that in the future if I have something that's really fringe knot heavy. But anyway, I digress. This is completed now, the mason jar lineup by dimensions. I have several other charts that have the jars with flowers in them like this that I would like to do and complete a set that kind of go together. So I might make one of those my next start. I'm not sure when I'll do another start, but when I do, I may pull one of those. Now, as far as my whipcord board, I had 3 spots on my whipcord board for my mason jar lineup. And since I've completed this now, I had to go in and change those squares because I put it in here 3 times because I wanted to definitely finish it this year. And since I've completed it now, I went in and I changed those squares. It was in number 3. I changed that to the Spread Your Love. It was in number 12, and I changed that to my wave ball, which I have not worked on yet this year. And then number 19, it was in there as well, and I changed that to Spread Your Love as well because that's one that I've just barely started. So I'd like to get a little more progress on that. So I had to go ahead and make some changes on my whipcord board, but it was for a good reason, just because I had finished the project. The whipcord board numbers came out on the 25th, and for April, they are number 4 and number 10. Now, I had 3 spots on my board where I had put backstitching, where I wanted to just catch up on backstitching, because I wasn't sure how long this was going to take, and I want to make sure I finished this because that was mostly what this one needed. So I still have 1 spot, I believe, yes, 1 spot, and wouldn't you know it, April's numbers were 4 and 10, and my number 4 spot is backstitching again. So I was trying to think, which projects do I have as whips that really need any backstitching? And I have my Steampunk Bee that I touched early in the year. In February, it was on my whipcord board, and I haven't touched it since. I need to do some stuff on it, but I need to do some, there's some backstitching right in here, but I need to do some more progress as far as the normal stitch so that I have some backstitching to do. So I will work on this for my April whip go in order to have more of the actual stitching done as well as some of the backstitching. So that's going to be sort of a combination number for me for number 4. And then my number 10 was the Monopoly board again. And I had already touched it once this year in January. So at that time, I think the last time you saw it, I was filling in the red at the top of these properties here, which were the Illinois, Indiana, and Kentucky. So I've completed that. And so now I've actually turned a corner, and I started with, it's such a big piece of project. I started outlining for these. These are the Tennessee, New York, and I believe it's St. James Place, and it's sort of a orangey gold top. So I started with that, and I will move on across that way. I only have maybe a quarter, maybe a little more than a quarter of this to complete. And as you can see, I've got the majority of it done. I just have that little piece to do. This is another one of those that I had in my mind that I wanted to make sure that I complete this year. I have been working on this one, I believe, since 2018, 2017 or 2018. So it's one of those I want to get out of my whips. And I do enjoy it. It's very simple. It's got a lot of back stitching in it because of the prices and the name of the properties. And the chart itself is on paper that I have been unable to scan into Pattern Keeper, so I'm having to work from a paper chart. It is also 18 count, 2/1. I don't often work with 18 count. I usually do 14 or 16. And since 2017 or 18, obviously my eyes have gotten worse and worse. So when I work on it, it takes me a lot of time. Plus, I find myself getting tired on it faster just because of the strain on my eyes. Now, I will pull out the little cheater reading glasses for this one, but still, it's very tiring just because of the fact that it's on paper for me. I am so used to and so spoiled by Pattern Keeper now or Saga that I have a real problem with Pattern, so that I can't scan into one of the two. So anyway, I definitely want to finish this one this year. You will be seeing it again. As I said, it's on my Whipco board for April, and I think I have it on the board at least a couple of more times, 2 more times, and I think I have another dealer's choice, and I think for that dealer's choice, I'll pull this out as well. But anyway, I love it piece. I love the way it looks. It's fantastic. When it's completed, I would love to put it like between plexiglass or something and use it as a tabletop for a small table. And I had seen on, I believe it was on Etsy or eBay, one of the two, where I could buy the money, the paper money, Monopoly money, and the pieces and the hotels and everything. And I would love to have it so that it could actually be played by somebody if I had those accessories to go with it. So I think when it's all completed, this will be definitely a heritage piece, just because of what it is. So I'm anxious to finish it. It's going to take me some time, but it's on my goals to finish by the end of the year. And that is about it today. I will try to be back in the next 2 to 3 weeks, hopefully 2, to give you an update on where I am with the current Whipco board and with the HAED SAL, and see where we're going and see what I've got accomplished. Hopefully by then I'll have the new installment for the SAL started, and I might actually have a new start going too. So we'll see how it goes. Hoping for another finish this month of something. I'm not sure exactly which one, but hopefully for another finish. And I will see you again next time. And until then, happy stitching.